So, all right. So you dated online. So my question is like, what did you do different? What did you do different now that you're in a new marriage relationship? Like,
married.
Give me a brief understanding of like, I mean, I know you're married. I'm still calling it a relationship because ultimately that's what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what did you do different, and what did you learn from your original experience that contributed to the success of your current marriage?
Yeah, well, we've been married now, getting ready to hit 8 years.
Ooh,
so
right on.
Thank you. One of the things I will say is my ex-husband was younger. My current husband is older.
What does that mean?
Well, just maturity.
How old did you get? How old was he when he got married? Your earlier husband.
He was 2 years younger than me. And
so he was 22.
Yeah.
I mean, all right.
Yeah,
okay.
He was 2 years. Yeah, he was 2 years younger than me. I think something too, like your upbringing has a lot to do with when you feel marriage is right. And he came from the Midwest. Okay. You know what I mean? He's seen his that was like, he comes from a very family town, very like you get married young. All that. That's his kind of like the whole white pig. Like that's
like girl next door get married right after high school life. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of where he came from. You know what I mean? Like that's what he saw growing up. So one thing to answer your question, like what was it that made it different and what changed was the age was really important to me. Like I wanted to date someone who was, they could be my age or a little bit older, because I felt that just the depths of conversation and the goals to talk about were really different than, and where he grew up, right? So my husband grew up in Puerto Rico. My current husband, he grew up in Puerto Rico, but he was a very ambitious person. He's just really ambitious. So for me, it was really important to make sure that we had that we were able to have conversations of depth. And even if we disagreed on them, that we would still be able to end the conversation without it turning into like,
got it.
Well, that's
stupid. You're able to like maturely disagree.
Yeah.
Right. So,
absolutely. That was huge.
Now, but was that a conscious pursuit on your end, or it just, so you were like, you better be able to talk right. Otherwise this ain't going down. Right.
Listen, I didn't have to say it. I have a way of just asking some very intentional questions.
Oh, is that right? Like, I've seen you ask me some. I know.
Because I wanted to I was like, you know what? First off, the way my last marriage ended and everything that we did to repair it, I felt like while it was meant to help us regroup, what it really did was it highlighted so much our differences, which was a great thing, right? But it didn't give us the right tools to be able to take those differences and really be able to say, do we accept those differences of one another? So for me, that was really important when I was dating. Like I would ask really intentional questions of like, what do you think about therapy? Like what are that would be a question I would ask, because I wanted to know, how does this person feel about talking about their feelings and being introspective of who they are and what they bring to the table.
You heard that, folks?
I get brownie points for that one.
Coins.
That was really important to me. The other thing that was super important to me was children. I don't have children. Now that I'm getting ready to I'm in my 40s, like I now have the desire to want to be a parent, and I'm with the right partner who wants that.
I'm confused. I'm confused because when you were in your 20s, early 30s, you didn't want kids.
No.
So I need to ask you, right?
Yeah.
What was your reasons for not wanting kids?
Okay, so let me finish what I was going to say, and I'll answer that question.
Okay.
When I met my current husband, I needed to be with someone, and what was really important was a person who was understanding that 70% of me probably will not want to have a family, but there may be this 30% where my life may change and my feeling and my desire. And as I go through my own personal development, my own, I may want children. Right. And that was really important to me. So in my 20s and my 30s, I didn't want kids. I came from a broken home, a home where I saw my mom. She was a single mom, raised 3 kids on her own. It was really difficult. There was just, it was just a lot that happened. And some of that responsibility, because I was the oldest, fell upon me to take care of my siblings. And in some sense, I felt like I did my duty of having children. Like I wanted to live my own life. Got it. You know, so because of that responsibility, I kind of was like, you know what? I don't want kids. Like, I don't want to deal with it. Like,
because you've exhausted your parental energy onto your siblings. So so what stimulated your desire to want kids now? Is that because you've revitalized that energy because you're so far removed from that? Like, what is it?
No. Another reason I didn't want to have kids was also because I saw, like, my real dad was very abusive to my mom.
Oh no.
And I would never want to be in a relationship and have a child, like, with someone who ever would show those tendencies. And with my ex-husband, there were moments where he was really upset and he wouldn't be able to handle his stress or control his emotions. Right. He never, I can say he never hit me. He never laid a hand on me. No, not at all. But the fact that, you know, I would think, I'm like, he wants to have kids and he's angry about this and he just threw this down, right? Or he just punched something because he's so angry. And it's like, I don't want to raise a child in that. So it was more of a deterrent for me. In my current relationship, my husband is very different. He's 4 years older than me. He's mature. He's really smart. And I think what has ignited in me, it's like, I'm working so hard to leave a legacy. I want to leave my mark in the world, but what good is it if I have nothing to pass on to leave, you know, to continue that legacy? You know, and at first, honestly, it was in my 20s, it was my shallowness of like, I don't want my, you know, I'm Latina, my hips are going to get huge, I'm going to get big.
Twerking on the bar and shit. Trying to go through the bar, you want to come in the room and be like, yo, I still got it. You don't want to expire the vanity. I get it.
Yes, listen, I and I'm just keeping it real because but that was my shallowness, and at that point, that was what was important to me. And now that I feel like I have so much to be able to share with a baby and just be able to take care of them and help them be a great human being to change the world and continue the work that, you know, continue the legacy that my husband and I are currently building. Like, we want to make the world a better place. We want to highlight, you know, we want to change the world through the different vehicles that we have going on. You know, that's what happened. And it's maturity too. You know what I mean? Like, it's maturity. Like, it's like, I love my husband, but I'm like, it would be so great if I could have something of him. God forbid something happened. My husband was a pilot. There were so many occasions. He's lost so many friends that it was like a difference of like, they went on a flight that he did it. You know what I mean? And you begin to think about those things and it's like, oh my God, if I ever lost him, like I wouldn't have anything also of us. Right. And it just my world changed.
You know what's crazy? Like, I've always said this, like, again, and I always have to preface this because people always like harp on me for generalizing. I don't really care, but I'll phrase my words in a way that everyone can understand where I'm coming from. In my opinion, I feel as though a lot of ladies who say, not just ladies, but even men too, who say they don't want children, I think a percentage of the reason is because they don't know what it looks like to be in a relationship that could support children.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
I didn't grow up with that role model.
Right. Exactly. So one, you don't see a proper example of raising children comfortably, right? Or you don't see examples of a partner where you would be a good teammate. Because I think a lot of people, when they think of having children, depending on their experience, they might think it's a solo endeavor. right? Having children, especially for women, they think, oh, I don't want to have kids. I'm going to do this, da, da, da. But they're not thinking about like the level of loving support and growth they might have in that process. But there's no real examples of that. And the kind of communities that we have are so compartmentalized that people don't have like a vivid image of what that really looks like. And I think, you know, what you said is very powerful because your previous experience definitely played a role in that. Yeah. But like, I would imagine like you coach women, you coach men, I'm assuming too.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So you coach men. So in the space of like being divorced and getting back into the world of dating. And I would love to see your Match.com profile, see what you wrote on there. I don't want to lose my body. So don't be over here thinking you putting a baby in me. I imagine that's how you sounded like. So anyway, so my question to you is like, although you had your experience, right? Mm-hmm. You coach and encounter people that came from divorce, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you feel like the advice you give them is reminiscent of your experience, or does the advice have to now change given what people are experiencing today? Like, is there a difference, or is it much of the same?
I would say it's much of the same. And I'm going to add a little context in that answer. When you look at what data shows in terms of why relationships end, right?
Yeah.
There are top 3 reasons: money, right? Irreconcilable differences and so forth, right? When you really break it down to when you're in a relationship or in a marriage and you're living through the day in and day out, right? That's what really can either make a relationship or it can really chip away at a relationship.
Yeah.
So me having the experience, often when I coach based on what science and what research and what tools work out there. For example, like I'm a facilitator for the 7 key principles that make a marriage work, which is based off of Dr. John and Julie Gottman's work. And I'm a facilitator. And I utilize those tools to be able to help.
7 key what?
7 key principles to making a marriage work.
You're gonna shout those out later?
Huh?
You're gonna shout those out later?
I can shout them out.
But go ahead.
So, on that note, I use my personal story to be able to share with the clients. Like, let me share a little bit about what happened to me or what I went through or this experience. And what I find is that a lot of clients, at the end of the day, we see similarities. And I think the best example of this is movies. Why is it that people are drawn to a very specific type of genre? As movies have been created, right? Like you have a hero's journey underlying any storyline.
Okay.
And we identify ourselves in different parts of that hero's journey. So I use my experience to be able to help my clients identify themselves where they are and to let them know that it's okay that they feel how they feel because it's normal.
Okay. You help them kind of like accept how they feel about certain things, right?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. I mean, if we can't change it, what else is there? Are you just that's when you stay stuck. That's when you get stuck.
Okay.